All right. Welcome, everybody, to Paradime's 11th live stream of 2025. I am the host. My name is Parker Rogers, and I'm joined by Paradime's two co-founders, Fabio Di Letta and Kaustav Mitra. And Fabio, you're reporting from not London. Where is it today?
I'm still on the coast. I can see the arbor from my window, so it's relaxed.
Okay. And Kaustav, you're just reporting from big old London.
London as usual.
Perfect. And today we are doing part 2 of our series, which is Paradime versus DBT Cloud. Last week, we covered a comparison of our development features, how we use DinoAI versus our competitors, and just various ways that you as a developer and you as your team can be more effective as an analytics engineer. And today we are jumping from the development side to the running DBT and production side. So before Fabio gives us a demonstration, Kaustav's going to show us some great slides. So Kaustav, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks a lot, Parker. So last week we focused on how Paradime is better and differs to DBT Cloud from a development experience standpoint. And today we are going to be focusing on Paradime Bolt, which is our native orchestrator built from the ground up that is used to run production workloads in Paradime and how that compares and is better than DBT Cloud. So I'll start with a very high-level comparison of how those main functionalities stack up. And then Fabio is going to go into much deeper on a real technical demo of what that looks like. So very simply, I think the main areas where Bolt excels are probably a few areas. Number one is around scheduling. So on scheduling in Bolt, we support UI-based schedules, which is great to get up and running in less than 30 seconds. If you want a very simple orchestrator that is declarative in nature and you want to be able to create a data pipeline, filling up a few details. But we also support schedules that can be code-based. If you're in organizations that has regulatory needs and other needs where you don't want schedules to be changed in the UI, you want a more Git-tracked process, Paradime supports that. The other area where I think we are much better is that we understand that analytics workflows is not just DBT, but there is stuff that happens before and there are stuff that needs to happen after. As a result, we support Python commands and external commands like refreshing PowerBI dashboards or Tableau worksheets and light dash deploys and so on and so forth. So we understand that running DBT and creating maths and data assets on top of that is just part of the process. There is an additional process involved where downstream systems needs to be up to date on the back of running DBT data transformation pipelines. The other area is CI/CD. So while we have Turbo CI, which is at 100% parity with Slim CI, we also have column level lineage diff, which tells you the downstream impact of your breaking changes in DBT code. That could be renaming a column, that could be deleting a column, and such changes. What that impact has outside of your DBT project on Looker or Tableau or other DBT projects that are connected via data mesh. And lastly, a few other things that make Paradime a choice for organizations running mission critical pipelines is we provide AI-powered summaries of pipeline logs and things like that. We also give full access to your console logs, debug logs, and things like that, which means that error resolution in Paradime, the mean time to repair is 70% less compared to other solutions in the market. That's because moment you recognize a failure, you are able to get to a fix much faster. And with really powerful CI checks, we help you prevent failures in the first place. I'll stop there. That's like a high-level summary of how we are better and how we are different. But I'll let Fabio actually show that in practice on how that looks like.
Awesome. Thanks, Kaustav. So yeah, excited to be here. Excited to be showing a little bit more around the orchestration part, the scheduling, and how this functions within Paradime. So our orchestrator is called Bolt because it's ultra fast, because it's a pretty fun name. But fundamentally, this is the interface where we can go and build and create and manage and monitoring DBT jobs. So I've created a bunch of them. then we can go through in terms of what they do and how they operate. But the first thing I want to show you is actually how simple it is to go ahead and create a job. And there are a few very powerful features, particularly around the cron orchestration part, which are a massive time saver for a lot of teams. So if I go ahead and I click on create an empty schedule, this is the interface where we can go ahead and create our configuration. So if you see at the top, we do support standard, deferred, and turbo CI. So turbo CI is our slim CI version of DBT Cloud, which allows you to run and check what are the differences when you're opening a PR and test them. It's as simple as my new job for name. I can select my branch and add descriptions. I can, of course, give the command. For now, we're going to cover just a simple DBT command here, but we'll go into a few more things later. And this is the place where I think we have been developing a lot of triggers around how Bolt can help teams orchestrate their jobs. So the first one is a schedule run. Here's where we can select what kind of cron jobs we want to run. I can select, for example, every day at 8 a.m. Now, one of the super powerful features that we build around the orchestrator is actually around time zone. So now with Paradime, you're able to orchestrate on a cron basis, depending on whichever time zone you are. So if I want to go, for example, and let's say I'm in LA, I can select Los Angeles. And here we're now orchestrating jobs to run at 8 a.m. in Pacific time rather than trying to do a UTC time conversion. So this is particularly useful when you want to make sure that the cron jobs are aligning with your business. So all cron jobs are supported within Paradime to use time zone, and all time zone are supported there. And then there is one of the things that I'm super proud of what the team has been building around here is around the notification layer. So all jobs are as useful as a team knowing what's happening with the jobs schedule when they're completing. So what we built with Paradime is the ability to have a very rich layer of notification, which allows you to effectively notify in each combination you like. So let's go through a few examples here. The first one, of course, we support email. I can add myself, or I can add any other user I have here, or add customer now in here. And what you'll see right away is that we can add more than one email address. And more importantly, we can have different combination of the notifications. So I want to know about the different type of combination of alerts that exist within Paradime. Maybe Costa or somebody else in the team might be more interested, or we want to let them know only about failure, for example. So we can do this. The other thing is that in a similar way, we can actually do the same thing with Slack. Okay, so if I go here now and I can type another Slack channel, I can actually send notification to this Slack channel for success only, or maybe for success and SLA or failure. So again, I have full control on how my notification should fire on the back of a job. We can also, for example, send the notification to individual user. So if I want to send a notification directly to myself, I can go ahead and select this notification layer here. So again, a lot of configurability that we build within the product, but also something which I'm super excited about it is our SLA threshold alert. So what is the SLA threshold? And something very unique to Partner is it allows teams to set up their own SLA for each of those jobs individually. What that means by SLA is that we can send a notification if a run is still in progress after a specific amount of time. So what it means in practice is that if I expect that this job that I'm creating should complete always within 5 minutes, I can set my SLA threshold to 5 minutes, which means that if after 5 minutes the job is still running, we can send a notification to each of the channel that we predetermined there. This is actually super important when we want to know about something that is slowing down. So normally what happens is that we create a job, then maybe the job hangs, or it could be that there are some issue with the warehouse, which means that the job does not complete with the expected timeline. And we will get to know only when the job ultimately will complete. Maybe it'll complete in 1, 2, 3 hours. And only at that point, we'll realize that the job was still running for such a long time. Right now, with this SLA notification, you can actually get to know as it happens real time that something is off with the job schedule. Something also that we support within Paradime is not only Slack, it's not only email, but we also natively support Microsoft Teams. So if you are a Microsoft team and you want to send notification to a team, to various different channels within team, in exactly the same way as we did here with Slack, that will be supported in there. The other thing around now deploying it is as simple as clicking on the deploy button. So we can go ahead and clicking on the deploy action to effectively deploy the job there. The other thing around Bolt, and we'll go dive a bit more into that, is we build Bolt with having an AI capability fresh in mind all the time to help user debug. So if I go and I show you now one of our existing Bolt jobs that we have that has failed, Something we built here is the ability to use AI to better understand your log and get to a resolution as quickly as possible every time there is a failure. We have our DinoAI embedded within Bolt as well. So by using the AI summary options, we're able to identify, in this example here, what kind of command is run, what kind of models have been executed, and also what happened with those failures. So we provide a direct action plan on what to do in case of a failure with suggestion of what to fix. So here, based on the logs, it's okay, this is the action plan. We should fix some errors related to this specific SQL file. And also there are a few other models that contains other syntax over there. So think about for when you have that engineer that is on call, and of course time is important if something fails on a Saturday or a Sunday or over the weekend. So here we provide this additional tooling so that somebody can actually understand very quickly what is happening with those logs and go to a solution. When we go and check on the console log side here, what we provide is another powerful feature, which is the ability to have a one-click view of your SQL or your run SQL or your compile SQL. So again, when we think about something that's failed and we want to jump in and fix it, how can we access all the relevant artifacts as quickly as possible within Paradime? The other things I want to touch upon now, which sort of like relates to this, is around the ability to integrate Paradime along your stack. So something we built early on within Paradime is around how can you run DBT jobs, of course, but also how can you run and integrate your DBT job as part of a bigger picture, a bigger orchestration. The first one I'm going to show you here is around our ability to support Python commands now. So I can see here I have my poetry install. I'm installing my dependencies, and then I'm running my Python file. I can click on run here, and again, executing my Python script. So really going beyond your standard DBT execution, whether that is using Python to run some ingestion, like I'm doing here now with DLT Hub, which is natively supported within Paradime, or if it is about calling some API post-DBT transformation has happened, you can do all of this in one single platform. Again, super powerful for teams, and they don't want to manage infra. They just need to get their job done. And I think that's where Bolt excels as an orchestrator to really make sure that it's super easy to set these things up and to run them as we need. So I can see here I have now a bunch of data being ingested inside my Snowflake. The other thing as well here that I've set up is, okay, what about other integration, right? So if I click on next on create a new job, what I can see here, we have a bunch of templates that we can use, and anything goes from some of the standards, so like most relevant DBT configuration that you can pick from, as well as using Turbo CI, and you can get this configuration out of the box. But also we integrate with other tools like Elementary to send alerts on the back of elementary failures. And we also integrate with Jira, Lineage, and Azure DevOps. Why this is important is that when we look at ticketing, again, part of managing errors in our pipeline, we can set up Jira or Lineage or Azure to receive an event and create a Jira ticket or Lineage issue every single time there is a job failing, or for certain type of schedules that we want to send that. We also integrate with sensors and high touch trigger sync. We can trigger Hex project refreshes, as well as we can now create instant directly within Bolt. So if you are using Incident.io or PagerDuty or Datadog or Rootly or even New Relic, you can actually send additional metadata and logs to the system every time there is the super critical Bolt job that might be erroring out in here. So all this is, I think it's beautiful because it doesn't require any additional setup on anyone's end. It's as simple as selecting what kind of integration you want to set up, providing an account ID in this case, or an API key, or if we are using Lineage, for example, is providing a team name or an API key. That's all that is required for having Bolt and fully integrates within your system there. I think I'll go back now to Bolt here. When we are creating schedules, we have the ability to actually add a lot more than just DBT commands. So we talked already about Python, but we can see here we have a few more, right? We have the ability to run PowerBI dataset or refresh Tableau workbooks. Again, usually after a DBT run is completed, there's some post-processing, some additional integration that needs to fire. You can now manage all of those within Paradime, and it's as simple as providing a workbook name in here, and press the save command. I'm running Yasin workbook here. I can run it as a schedule if I want to. I can run this on completion of another job that is running somewhere else. I can choose all this configuration around when do I want this to execute and based on which context. I can add here like my Tableau fresh command and press deploy. And now we can actually chain all our transformation in one single place, right? So we can go from triggering a DBT job, and then triggers a Tableau workspace refresh, or you can trigger a Power BI as well refresh. So all these things, they're now all completely chained within Paradime, which makes it a lot powerful for managing those sort of pipeline in one single place. Now, if I go here, I can see that we are running a bunch of things, and we also just triggered for Tableau refresh. So now we can make sure that as soon as the DBT pipeline completes, we can provide fresh data to the end users that are using those Tableau dashboard, which is super powerful. The other thing, which is more around how do we manage integration, I think Costa mentioned earlier around, we have the UI base, which is what we've been using so far to set up this job. But if I want to go and, for example, set this as a YAML base or a code base, we already give you the pre-generated code for you to lift and shift. So every time you're creating a job, you can then choose to just see what the YAML-based construct look like, how it is configured, how it is set up for all the different combination of things that we support here, and use this inside your DBT repository itself. So you can just add a file which contains this configuration, and then Paradime will make sure that those configurations are deployed within the Paradime Bolt orchestrator. Again, this is super powerful and useful if you want to make sure that your jobs are correctly tracked and you have PR review in process every time there are changes in there. Of course, we support Airflow and Python and CLI and SDKs. All those things are readily available for user to pick and shift and work with that. The other last two things I want to show you now is around, okay, how does a Jira ticket look like, right? So something has failed, something is broken. How do we actually go and see what this integration looks like in products? Just gonna go ahead and now share my other tab here. Got one prepared for us. Okay, perfect, yeah. So this is as simple as this, right? So I didn't have to define anything of all this configuration. I just have to set up my API keys. And now every time there's a job that is running and fails within Bolt, we automatically create this ticket with some relevant information and details around how to better work with those failures and how to handle those in a certain sequence. So not anymore having to think about, oh, I need to create a ticket for the failure and I need to add some information and metadata to it so then somebody else within the team can pick it up. This can actually happen automatically as part of the sequence that we build. This is from a Bolt perspective around all the integration we support. One of the features that it's native to us and I think is extremely powerful for our team is around the CI layer. There is one part of Bolt, which is Slim CI. Again, what we call for our side is Turbo CI, which is fundamentally allow you to build and run and test changes in your PR while you are making modification effectively in temporary schema, which is one. But also what we build is column level lineage analysis. So I'm just going ahead and share my other screen now. So this is now, thanks to Bolt and Paradime, you have a full end-to-end visibility of your changes. So the main thing is that if I'm renaming a column, if I'm making some changes in my DBT layer, how do I know what is the downstream impact of the change? What's the blast radius, right? So when you open up pull requests is in Paradime, we are able to provide this column level lineage analysis report. What this allow us to do is that to see, okay, these columns have been modified in this PR. And as a result of that, based on the integration I have, in this case, I'm connecting to Tableau, Looker, and ThoughtSpot. We also support Sigma. We're able to help teams to identify, okay, what is the blast radius of that column renaming, for example, or by removing that column as part of the process. So we're able to tell users that because of a column that changed in customer orders, I have a bunch of Looker views and Looker explorers that are impacted by the change. I can also see a dashboard that is using that column. I can go and see another one here, which is a bunch of, again, views, explorers. There is also a look and another dashboard. So really giving that end-to-end visibility before you even merge your code to actually see what is important, what we should be worried about when we have to merge this code, who we should collaborate with, maybe if there is a different team that manages our Looker instance around making sure that those columns are correctly updated also within the layer. As teams grows, as DBT project gets more connected to various systems, column level lineage is a massive enabler for people to have a lot more visibility within their data stack as they open PR and work towards productionizing this code. We got a few minutes left, but this is all on the Bolt side. And yeah, we're planning to add a lot more exciting things within the platform to extend even more the triggers and to bring even more AI capabilities within Bolt. Make sure you keep an eye on our release notes and our announcements soon.
My camera's not working, but here I am. How about Kalstov? Since I'm invisible, I'm under Harry Potter's little invisible quote. How about you guys sign off?
I think you're on mute, Costa.
I think one of the questions I get sometimes is what's running underneath in Bolt from a technical perspective. And I always find people actually quite appreciate the fact that we built Bolt as an orchestrator from the ground up using Kubernetes as the battle tester software system that everyone uses for running production grade software. When people have questions like, are you running Airflow or anything else under the hood? We are actually not. We literally build Bolt from the ground up, following first principles. As a result, we have 100% uptime in the last 90 days, which is an industry benchmark in itself compared to our competitors where they have 99% or even less time reliability on their scheduling infrastructure. We are able to provide our customers 100% uptime. I think our last incident was, I still remember, it's in October 2023 for 40 minutes. So that was the last incident we had. So for some of our customers, they haven't had an outage for the last 365 days, which is an incredible achievement by the team in terms of how Bolt is more and more being used for mission critical workloads at various different organizations.
With that, Fabio, thanks again for another great presentation of Bolt. And next week, we are covering context engineering, which is the brother or sister of prompt engineering. So Kalstov's going to go over how you can use AI for DBT development and how you can better leverage context so that the DBT models that you're building are more accurate, they're more specific to your project and your team's project. And I bet he has some other tidbits in there that I'm excited to learn about. So thanks, everybody, and we will see you next week.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.